Hello everyone, I'm Chef Sumit Samadar, and in today's class we are going to study about food cost. So today's topic is food cost, which is one of the most important topic for any hotel management student or anyone who is part of the hospitality sector, because understanding this particular chapter makes you earn profit, and we as a part of the hospitality industry, we are doing the businesses to make profit. So until unless we understand this chapter, we will not be able to gain profit from it by cooking the food. So what is food cost? Usually people have a wrong notion that food cost is all the expenses which are included in preparation of a particular dish, which is slightly wrong. Food cost, to be defined as, is the total cost which is incurred in preparation of one particular dish. That is, only the cost of the ingredients are being taken into consideration. So to give it an example, for example, if I am making chicken curry, so the food cost of chicken curry is not the fuel cost, that is not the gas which is being burnt into it, that is not been included into that, or not the wages or the salary or lighting or furniture or fixtures, but food cost for that chicken curry is the price of the chicken for one portion, along with that the spices or the vegetables like onion, garlic, whatever I'm using. That when it comes in total, that is defined as food cost. So how do you calculate a food cost? There is a simple formula for that. I'll write the formula and then I will explain it to you how to calculate a food cost. So within first bracket, opening stock plus purchases, first bracket close, minus closing stock, the whole thing is divided by sales. So the result what it gives is the food cost. When you multiply this by 100, that gives you the food cost percentage. Now I will explain you how you derive this and how you derive the food cost with this formula. So for example, let's take example of one particular dish. Okay, we will just take one of the most popular dishes which all of us like to eat, most of us like to eat, which is one of my favorite dish, say mutton biryani. Okay, now there are more than 10 to 15 ingredients which goes in mutton biryani, but we are not going to take all those 10. We are going to take only the important ones, which will be just to help out in understanding this formula. So to prepare mutton biryani, of course we need mutton and we need rice. So along with that we need other spices also and other ingredients also. So let's take it in the example of spices. We take turmeric powder, we take chili powder, we take salt, and let's say we take yogurt. Okay, I know there are other ingredients also, but we are not going to include that, so that more ingredients is going to confuse us more. So we'll take all these three ingredients. Now the ingredients what I said, I'm repeating one more time. I said rice, I said mutton, I said salt, turmeric powder, chili powder, and yogurt. Out of this, if you segregate these items, you will see that some of the items are perishable, some of them are highly perishable, some of them are non-perishable items. So out of this non-perishable item is the rice, the uncooked rice. Now in an organization, if we see that every month we consume 50 kilo of basmati rice for preparation of the biryani. Now what happens is that in 1 month we have consumed 30 kilos of it, and so we are left with 20 kilos for the next month. That means in any organization, you will see that in any food, F&B outlet, you will see that on 31st of every night, that is at the end of the month, the food cost controller and the chef, usually is the sous chef, along with other team members, they will calculate what is the leftover at the end of the operation and at the end of the month. So whatever is the leftover at the end of the month, that is on 31st night, is your opening stock for the next month. That means if we have consumed 30 kilo of rice, and we know we usually consume 50 kilos, so that 20 kilos rice is our opening stock for the next month. So the supplier who is going to supply us the rice, we are not going to ask for another 50 kilos. We will tell him that you have to supply 30 kilos for us. Okay, now that is for the rice. Same thing, but it is going to be different when you are talking about highly perishable or perishable ingredients. For example, mutton or the yogurt. The mutton or the yogurt cannot be bought for a month. It is not going to be fresh. So usually in hotels you will see that every 2 days or 3 days it is being supplied. So that comes in the purchases. Understood? That comes in the purchases. So it can again also happen with the salt or turmeric, that whatever you have, it gets over in the middle of the month, say on the 15th or 16th of the month, the salt and turmeric powder gets over, chili powder gets over, and then again you have to do a purchase of that. So that also comes in the purchases. So opening stock and purchases is the total cost which you have consumed in preparation of the mutton biryani. That's the total cost. But what is the actual cost at the end of the month? When you are again at the end of the month, on 31st of the month or the 30th of the month, when you are calculating whatever is left over, if you are left with little bit of salt, little bit of turmeric powder, chili powder, or even the yogurt or the rice, when you minus that one, that is your actual cost which has been incurred. Now you have to divide it by the sales. So at every month you see that your sales is say you have sold 1000 plates of biryani. Okay, so this total cost which is coming, when you divide it by sales, it is always going to come in a decimal. So when you multiply that by 100, it's going to give you the food cost percentage. It is a thumb rule in the hospitality industry or in the F&B outlets that the food cost percentage should not increase more than 35 to 38%. If your food cost percentage is coming higher than that, that means you are running at a loss somewhere, and eventually you have to take necessary measures for it after finding of it. So that's what we are going to talk about in our next part of it, that why food cost is important and how it is being determined. Okay, so why food cost is being important? Because we say that it's through the food cost through which we can determine the profit, we can earn the profit for the organization or for the F&B outlet. Now what are the ways through which food cost can go haywire, and if it goes haywire, what are the things which you should keep an eye on? There are several things for which it can happen. First thing is that availability of the ingredients. So the factors I will write down. Factors affecting food cost. Availability. The next point is pilferage. The next is theft. Inflation in the market. Improper yield management. Improper purchasing. So these are basically the 6 most important factors through which if it is not being maintained if it is not being maintained, the food cost can get affected. So we are going to talk about each one of them. So the first one is about the availability of the ingredients. Now whenever we are making a dish, it has to be the trend. That's a trend which is actually going on around the world in all the hotel industry all around the world, that we call it as think local and cook global, which means that we do something for our society, which in turn helps us in gaining profitability also. That means we try to get the ingredients or use the ingredients which are locally being available, for which you don't have to spend too much of, we call it as food miles. Food miles means if you are importing a ingredient from a foreign country, it is traveling all the way through a shipment that which increases the carbon emission in the whole world, and as a result of which the price also increases. So we try to avoid that, and we try to take local available ingredients through which the price is cheaper and we can control the food cost. The next one is pilferage. So the pilferage means that usually can happen because of, if you say, improper storing of ingredients. If you're storing ingredients in an improper way, and say for example I store a container of oil, but there is a hole in the container. Now slowly and gradually, every day, by drop, some of the oil is leaking from the container, as a result of which I am losing what I am going to use for cooking purpose. So that's comes into the pilferage. The next part is the theft. We always tell that in the kitchen you are not supposed to eat. You are not supposed to eat that food which is supposed to go to the guest. Of course, hygiene is one of the most important reason for that. The other reason is the food cost. If there is a person who is working a 12-hour shift, just to give you an example, and every 5 minutes he's working in the bakery and pastry, where there are usually chocolates and all are being kept. So every half an hour also, in a 12-hour shift, he goes and takes a handful of choco chips and has it, or some dry fruits. So in a 12-hour shift, if in a handful, usually it will come approximately 50 grams. So in 50 grams, if in a 12-hour shift, if he's taking, so half an hour, if you're giving a gap, it's almost 6.5 hours. So if you calculate the price of it, that's the price which the company is losing. That amount of dry fruits or the chocolate chips would have been used for the purpose of preparation of an ingredient or for a dish for which we would have sold to the guest. But instead of that, we ourselves has consumed, as a result of which our food cost will go high, because we have to again purchase that one. So that's called theft. Inflation in the market. Now inflation in the market means if the market is not stable enough, so all the ingredients what you need may not you get at the same price, the prices may get increased. Or even what can happen if the income capacity of the people goes down, even if whatever ingredients you are selling, if the footfall in your restaurant is less, then of course your food cost is going to go high. So if inflation is there in the market, it's going to affect your food cost. Next is improper yield management. Now yield management is totally a whole new chapter which I will do in the later classes. But to give you a brief about what is yield management, to define as yield means to get the maximum or the optimum output out of an ingredient. As a simple example of this, say when we go to market and we buy a piece of mango. So an Alfonso mango, which is regarded as one of the best quality mango in the world, when it is ripe, it weighs approximately 170 to 190 grams. So we buy like that. But what do we consume? We don't consume the skin, we don't consume the seed of it, we consume the flesh of it. But we cannot go and tell the shopkeeper that I am going to consume the flesh or the pulp, so just give me the pulp. So if you are making mango shake and you're going to use fresh Alfonso mango out of that, so out of 170 grams or 190 grams of mango which you are going to buy, when you discard this skin and the seed and you take only the pulp, is going to come not more than 65 to 70 grams of the flesh, which actually you can use for preparation of the mango shake. So you have to make an analysis that out of that what you are going to use and how many portions of mango shake you can prepare out of 70 grams of mango flesh which you are going to get. Same goes for other fruits, like for example lychees is the biggest example. It's when you go and buy a kilo of lychee, it will always be sold along with the stems and the leaves. We don't eat the stems and the leaves, we eat the fruit itself, the pulp itself. Now inside that also of a lychee, which is approximately one piece of lychee will be 40 grams. Out of that 10 to 15 grams will be the weight of the seed, and another maybe 1 or 2 gram the skin outside it. So you have to understand, if you are making a lychee shake or a lychee drink, then how much of fresh lychee you are going to obtain from that. Same goes for chicken also. if that's the reason why in European countries the bones are not being used for direct consumption, but the bones are used for preparation of different kind of stocks. So it is not being wasted, but the flavorful liquid is being used as a base of different kinds of sauces and gravies. So that is about yield management, to understand the optimum uses of each ingredient which you are using in preparation of the dish. The last one is improper purchasing. Well, what is improper purchasing? There are in an organization, there are, if it is classified, there are two types of purchasing which happens. One is, you call it as formal purchasing. The other one, what you call is as informal purchasing. Now formal purchasing means you will see that in every hotel, every day in the morning, at the back side of the kitchen, you will see that different suppliers will come, and some will supply chicken, some will supply vegetables, some will supply fruits. That is they are being fixed. So what happens in a proper organization, you have list of, you float a tender into the market, and then you sign up with one of the suppliers who is going to supply you at a fixed rate for a certain period of time, which can be an year or which can be a time which has been designated by both the parties, where you state that what is the quality and what should be the texture of it, of that ingredients what you are going to take from it. So if you are doing that, then what happens, your purchase is proper. But if you are not doing that, say for example you are running a restaurant, and all of a sudden you see that you have run out of coriander, and because you have not indented properly, so you go to the market and you, from the open market, you buy a bunch of coriander. So you are not going to get the rate which your supplier used to supply you. So what happens, you are buying it at a increased price, which is going to ultimately increase the food cost of your dish. So these are the factors which usually affect the food cost, and this has to be always be maintained. So saying all this, I'll sum up today's class, and of course along with this I have also attached a PowerPoint presentation which you can all go through. Over there I've given some more extra details, some more extra definitions of other things, the things which I have spoken over here. A proper definition of that is also given over there, which you can see and note it down. So before I close this, I will sum up about today's topic, which is food cost. So food cost, as I said, is defined as the total cost or the expenditure which is incurred in preparation of one particular dish. Food cost percentage is derived by the opening stock and the purchases within first bracket minus closing stock divided by sales, which gives you a number in decimal. When you multiply it by 100, it gives you the food cost percentage. As a thumb rule, it is being taken in the hospitality industry that your food cost percentage should not increase more than 35 to 38%. If it goes way beyond that, then you are on the verge of going in a loss. And what are the factors which are affecting food cost? Factors which affect food cost, we have spoken about that. Whenever we are getting some ingredients, we will try our best to not to import. We'll try to see that if it is locally being available as closer to our premises as possible. Other than that, if we have to take care of the pilferage, the theft, we have to keep an eye on that our staff is not doing something like that. While we are hiring someone, this is another point. While we are hiring someone, we should see that the person is capable enough. An unexperienced or an inexperienced chef in your kitchen can also increase your food cost. Why? Because say you tell the person that you make a sauce or a gravy. Now he doesn't know how to prepare, so he will spoil all the ingredients. So you have to again redo it. Or that's the reason why all of us start our career while chopping or slicing onions or peeling off carrots, because till the time we know that what we are supposed to go, the SOP of the hotel, we cannot start cooking of the food. Other points are the inflation of the market, improper yield management. That means if we don't know how much is the optimum amount of ingredient we are going to get out of one particular ingredient, and improper purchasing if you have not a proper purchasing system. So these are the few points which needs to be kept in mind. And as I said, please refer to the PowerPoint presentation which has been attached along with this. Thank you so much.